People often ask me how we began our international ministry and what we did to start it. And actually, it began in the city of Chicago, and we have such fond memories of what God did there. It was a special time. My wife and I moved there by faith. We went there, we went on the streets, we went into the highest crime rate area of the city of Chicago, and we just began to work with street kids and gangs and runaways and just tried to share Jesus with them. And God moved in a mighty way. Our staff grew, and we had about 13 people working with us. And during that time, as we ministered, God just opened the doors wide open for the whole world. In fact, it began in a prayer meeting. We had a prayer meeting and we were seeking God, and as we sought the face of the Lord, we would pray for a different nation every day. And there was a map, a world map that we had on the wall, and we would take one nation and we would pray in our staff meetings over that nation, and we would pray for God to move and to work in that country. And one day we were praying for the nation of Germany, and God just gave me a burden. He burdened my heart. He burdened a friend of mine and I on the staff, and we just prayed all day and up into the night. We sought the face of God, and as we sought God, God just put a burden on our heart to go there. But we didn't know anyone. And so the only thing we knew to do, I found a name of a missionary who spoke English in Germany, and I wrote him, and he said, "Do you speak German? Do you know anyone here?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, that's crazy." I said, "Okay, that's fine." We were just trying to obey what we knew. The Lord put a burden on our heart, and so we were just taking it one step at a time. 2 weeks later, I'm telling you, 2 weeks later, he wrote a message and a letter, and he sent it to us. And he said, "We just read, right after I had communication with you, we got a paper, and it had a full-page article on your ministry in Chicago. And we want to invite you to come to Germany and speak to all of our pastors." Well, I ended up going there and speaking to those pastors. And oh, I want to tell you something. God moved and worked in that conference. And then that led us going all across Germany. And I ended up preaching in Berlin. And then from there, I would go to the Berlin Wall and pray every day. And then God opened the door, and we went into East Berlin, and we began to minister in the communist countries. And one thing led to another. But I learned something. Every day, you just have to take it one day at a time and obey God every single day. Now, isn't that what God told Joshua? God told Joshua, he said, "Be sure to obey me every day." And isn't that what the Word of God says? The Word of God says every day in Deuteronomy chapter 8, it says, "Every day, do what I tell you to do today. Be careful to obey all that I've commanded you." And then he says, "I will increase you. I will bless you." You see, the blessings of the Lord come in daily obedience. In that prayer meeting, God gave us a burden. Then from that burden, we took one step, called someone, and then God opened doors from there. And then we took one step from there, and that opened more doors. So you see, it's every day, just simply doing what God has called you to do. Just obeying Him, just doing what He wants you to do. And if you will do that, God will do great and mighty things. He will work in a mighty way. So obey Him today. Just take one day at a time and obey what He tells you to do today. Be careful to obey Him, and He will bless you. He will increase you. He will give you great and mighty blessings that you never thought were possible.